Chase Thomas podcast. My nephew needs me to record. See, I already hate it. I hate it.
All right, hello. We're back to another episode of the Chase Thomas podcast. I'm still the aforementioned Chase Thomas, coming to you live from Knoxville, Tennessee, Everything School HQ. Joining me down there in Decatur, Georgia, my good friend, Fleming University of North Georgia alumni, and the host of Georgia Voice of College Football, Matt Green, is here. Matt, good evening, sir. How are you?
Good evening, sir. It is it's not the best circumstances for a Georgia fan this week, sir, but here we are. The show must go on.
Show must go on. I mean, I did this show 2 weeks ago after a heartbreaker against your team here in Knoxville, Tennessee. But I mean, I don't know. It's hard for me to say, like, to understand where you're coming from with all of this, because you do have 2 national titles that you've seen in the last 5 years. You saw your team beat the team that you can't seem to beat at any other point in the national title game. One of your all-time favorite memories, Georgia football memories, will be the Keely Ringo pick six. Gotten a lot of joy there.
Of course.
You just can't, like, there's just a weird hiccup. I mean, it's weird that Georgia still, post-Saban, can't get over this hump, but we'll get into this game on Saturday night. But, you know, I don't know. I mean, is the mood and the feeling amongst Georgia fans just kind of doom and gloom, or is it just more of like, yeah, this stinks, but we live to fight another day, and it is what it is? I mean, I don't know. I can understand both sides. I can understand the frustration part, but also, like, you just zoom out, not even you have to zoom out all that far, but you're like, yeah, we also beat this team in the national championship. Like, that happened less than 5 years ago. So yeah, it kind of stinks that we lost to them again in the regular season, this time at home. But I don't know. I don't know, as a non-Georgia fan, I don't know where most Georgia fans lie in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where most Georgia fans lie. Like, message boards and like Twitter aren't like real places, you know. But in general, I'm sure there's some doom and gloom people out there that thinks, you know, Kirby's just hiring all his friends and he's not serious about winning championships anymore. I don't know. So there's gonna be like some terrible takes out there, but you know, I think, like you said, Georgia's still a big time program. I think this is what I was kind of talking about going into the game, that it was like, this is a way more important game for Alabama. I don't know what like I remember seeing the percentages of like Georgia CFP probability if they win versus if they lose, and it was like still like 65% or something like that with a loss or something in this game. And it was a more important game for Alabama's season. But from a Georgia perspective, it was just important. It was so much more important from like an ego perspective. It was like, we're trying to get this Alabama thing off of our back, and it's like, it's not going anywhere. But that doesn't mean Georgia can't still win the SEC, that Georgia can't still make the college ball playoff and win the whole championship for as far as we're concerned. But it's just definitely a discouraging result, just from an ego perspective, for Alabama to be the team that you couldn't beat under Nick Saban. It's like, well, Nick Saban is basically beating everyone. But with Kalen DeBoer, like, they basically lost all of their road games since he's been there, other than, what was it, Wisconsin and one other game they won last year. But they were like 2-4.
LSU.
They were like 2-4 on the road, so they've just been losing all of their road games, and they go in Sanford Stadium and in the longest home winning streak in college football. So it's just all of those things. Georgia obviously can still bounce back, but it's discouraging from just a rivalry with Alabama, if you want to even call it that, because it's not 1-9 in the last 10, I think, is the stat. I'm not 100% sure. Pre-Kirby, I know Kirby's 1-7, and then I guess it's what, three more after that. So yeah, 1-10 in the last 11. Yeah, not great.
But again, 2 national titles. There's some, when I think about Georgia and where they're at right now, there's some Spursiness to me when I watch them. There's some Spurs, San Antonio Spurs post-dynasty type deal, where I think there's been some brain drain, you know, like Will Muschamp was obviously a big part. as DC and helped add some juice there with Schumann, and that was a good combination. I think Schumann is still obviously a good defensive coordinator. I mean, losing Dan Lanning, losing Fran Brown, losing Todd Monken, losing Sam Pittman. Like, part of me does think that there is some brain drain there, which is because you've hired extremely well and developed well. You're losing a lot of key guys who are off doing great things everywhere else. We'll talk about Dan Lanning here, but Fran Brown obviously getting Syracuse relevant again. And yeah, I mean, I do wonder about some of that where they've done a good job. It's not like you look at their staff and it's like one of the weaker staffs in the conference, but it's still not the same level of like Death Star staff when you look at what they had in their peak years and what Kirby had. So, I mean, but that's the nature of sports. Like, it's not even just a college football thing. You saw the Spurs, you saw with the Patriots where they kept losing coordinators and front office people in the Belichick prime. And eventually that catches up to programs. I'm not saying that's exactly what's happening to Georgia, but I mean, Saban still had some misses every now and then, like Saban, it was still hard when he would lose so many different coordinators over the years. And I don't know. Sometimes you have blips, and sometimes I don't know. I think it's one of those things that's constant in sports.
It sounds like you think this is a big picture issue for Georgia. Like, this is a trend on Georgia's program going in a certain direction.
I do feel like, I don't know, maybe you're more locked in on this. I just feel like if you were to tell me they need to add some more juice this offseason to the coaching staff, to like and again, it's not like all in the coaching staff, but just to like shake things up a little bit, like just this kind of malaise the last couple of years. And they can still win the national championship. Like, this is still a team that went to the playoff last year, won the SEC. Like, Georgia still got everything right in front of them. Like, you still get Ole Miss at home, who's number 4 right now in the AP poll. You still get Texas coming into your building. Like, everything is still in front of Georgia to take care of business and be okay. And losing to Alabama, again, Kalen DeBoer, who owns all the big coaches. Like, Kalen DeBoer is a big game coach. Like, you talk about his road record and everything else at Bama, but it's like he's undefeated against Lanning. He's undefeated against Kirby. Like, the guy wins big games. Like, there is maybe not a better big game coach active in college football right now than Kalen DeBoer. Like, that's part of the reason I picked him in this game, is like Kalen DeBoer gets Bama up for these big games. Like, he's got to figure out how to get them up when they're double-digit favorites, like against Vanderbilt, where game day is going to be in Tuscaloosa this Saturday. But Kalen DeBoer is a big game coach. Like, that is unquestionable part of where he's at. But yeah, I don't know. I mean,
but think about what you just said, like the malaise the last couple of years. Like 2023, this team started 12-0 and was ranked number 1 for like 10 weeks or something like that.
True.
Like, they were almost number 1 the entire season that year.
I just meant this year and last year, the post Monken years, I guess, post Monken and Muschamp.
No, and I think, and it's like, I swear, like, Monken was obviously a great offensive coordinator, but it's like, do people not remember some of the duds they had offensively? Like, you were questioning the 2021 team all the way until the literal college football playoff game before Michigan. Like, that team played 13 games before anyone like was convinced that the offense was good. And then it took Todd Monken being like, hey, guys, by the way, Stetson's really good and we can win a championship with him. And it was like, oh, okay, I guess Monken says so. But it's like, it's not like people were just satisfied with the offense at all times. Like, that team was going out scoring 50 points. They didn't score 65 every single game, like the TCU game. Like, so it's revisionist history as far as I'm concerned. Monken is a great OC, but like, the 2023 offense was almost identical to the 2022 offense statistically. Like, that team was super explosive offensively. It's just, and honestly, maybe the rest of college football should be hoping that this is Alabama is more than just an Alabama thing, because if it is just an Alabama thing, well, that means Georgia's probably going to end up 10-2, 11-1 back in the SEC championship, because it always seems to be Alabama that can beat them. So, and last year too, it's like everyone talks about Georgia like they weren't good last year, and I think Georgia fans are comparing them to championship teams. With one of the toughest schedules in the entire conference a year ago, they won the SEC. So it's like we kind of forget Georgia won the conference last year. And yeah, it's really discouraging the way that they lost Alabama again. But also think about the way this game happened. I guess we're just gonna get into this game.
Well, no, let's save it for a second.
Okay.
This was just kind of the appetizer on that conversation. But before we even get into what happened this weekend between our two teams here, both very, very different for a lot of different reasons, but also just as anxiety riddled for both of our sakes, I would say. But first up, we have a coaching change in the SEC, Matt Green. You mentioned him, Sam Pittman. Tennessee will face an interim coach, interim Bobby Petrino, when Arkansas comes to Knoxville here in 2 weeks. Tennessee will be coming off a bye in that game. But yeah, this felt like inevitable. I don't know about you, but when I heard this was year 6, I had to like look that up because it does not feel like he has been there 6 years. Does that feel like that's the case to you? I thought it was
Yeah.
like 4.
I just knew 2020. I guess it stands out because 2020, his very first game, he was playing Georgia in that COVID game. But yeah, it is kind of crazy. I guess from Georgia fans, they know because they're like, it was nice when we had Sam Pittman getting those big offensive line 5-star classes. But yeah, Sam Pittman, I felt like just the way they lost those first 2 games, the first 2 games that they lost this year. And then just it was kind of the same thing that was happening all year, a year ago. That Oklahoma State game comes to mind where you were just the better team and you're just allowing teams to get back in games and blowing it. This Notre Dame game felt like they gave up. Like second quarter, like this felt like a team like that one touchdown. Was it the one before halftime that screen pass? The dude took like 40 yards for a touchdown. Like that defense legit looked like they gave up on that play. And it was like, what was it? 40, was it 35-13 at half, 42-13 at half?
It was crazy. Whatever it was.
Yeah, they just broke it open. It felt like, okay, this team's kind of given up on this coach.
Well, and here's the other part of this. So I have gone back and forth on this, especially just with Oklahoma and Texas now being in the conference. But in your estimation, is this a good job, okay job, or bad job in the SEC in 2026?
Well, I'm not in the industry. I would imagine in the industry, a good job is a job that pays a lot of money. I think that's tends to be how it works in the job market. So I feel like it'll always be a good job if it's an SEC program, especially an SEC program that wants to win. And you see the Walmart logos on the field and everywhere, and them going out and getting John Calipari as a basketball program. Like Arkansas has clearly got some money and they want to compete. So I think from that perspective, it's a good job. I just don't think SEC maybe this is a bigger picture topic. I don't think SEC fans are ready for this 9-game schedule, man. Like, I don't think they're ready at all. That it's like, there's going to be teams with a lot of losses. Like there's 9 more losses, 9 more losses. There's 8 more losses with 16 teams that are just automatic going to happen in the conference. You know, it's going to happen. And it's going to be interesting to see how SEC fans like react to some of these records, some of these 4, 5, 6 loss seasons. But yeah, I think at this point, if you're at a place that's financially trying to compete, which seems like Arkansas is, I think you'd have to call it a good job. It's gonna be super challenging. Those 3 locked rivals aren't gonna be easy either.
Yeah, so I think that's like the early names that have come out, like Rhett Lashley, obviously a Gus disciple, but I mean, not off to the best start at SMU this season. 2-2, lost to TCU. I think they're on a bye this week. Lost to Baylor again. That one was a crazy one in overtime. Baylor won 48-45. Obviously made the CFP last year. Won 22 games at SMU the last 2 years. Part of me is like, you got a good thing going at SMU. You got some good boosters all aligned. You know, like you've got that thing humming. You're in a much more winnable conference in the ACC, especially let's see what the ACC looks like here in a couple of years. But like I don't think that job is going to be going on the down. It's not like Alex Golish at USF, where I think he's got to really, really consider jumping out before, you know, his roster gets pillaged or whatever, and he's not able to keep this momentum going. I think it's a lot harder to keep those kind of jobs going as opposed to if you've got a good thing with good NIL support at a school like SMU, obviously in a great recruiting area and everything else. I just feel like if I'm Rhett Lashley, I don't know if I'm jumping to Arkansas. I think I might be waiting a little bit longer to see what else might open up. I mean, I'm probably waiting on Auburn. I think Auburn's a much better job than Arkansas, so I'd probably look around there. Kentucky, no, not at all. I
Are
mean,
you
Florida,
making the case for SMU over Arkansas though?
I would definitely take SMU over Arkansas. I think Arkansas is a huge question mark to me. I mean, they've won before. Like Houston Nutt has made. I mean, how many SEC championship games has Houston Nutt made at Arkansas?
I know they made at least 2 because
So
Georgia
he did
beat
go to. I
them.
was thinking 2. I didn't know if it was more than that.
One of
Matt
Florida's
Jones made
championship
it.
teams. One of
Yeah.
Florida's championship teams played Arkansas. Yeah, with McFadden. That was in 06.
And Petrino with Ryan Mallett, obviously Sugar Bowl, he had success, and we'll see how he does as interim. So they've had varying degrees of success. It's not like a Kentucky job, but it's also like I don't. They're just so. I don't know. I guess could you be Mizzou? Like, could you be Mizzou if you're Arkansas? Yeah, I think that's somewhere in the ballpark. But again, Mizzou, I don't think is ever going to win the SEC. That doesn't mean they can't have a deep CFP run every now and then or anything like that. Mizzou's a legitimately good team this year, but I don't know if that's a great job. Like I think SMU is a good job right now, and I just might be waiting a little bit more because I think some better jobs in Arkansas might open up, and I think Rhett can keep that thing humming at SMU a little bit longer. That I think Arkansas is more of one of those. I think it's a riskier job than a lot of the other ones that might come open to me. I'm just not sure.
I think that's the old line of thinking, like the pre-playoff expansion line of thinking, that I think if you can't win the conference that you're in, it's not that great of a job because you're not going to win anything if you can't win the conference. But now you can go 10-2 and in a year that maybe you have a weaker I don't know. These 9-game schedules, it's going to be tough for everybody, but maybe you find a way to go 10-2. And it's a wild year, and a 9-3 team gets in, and you're the 3rd or 4th best team in the conference, 5th best team, maybe some years. I think you can still get in the college football playoff, and then who knows, you're getting SEC level talent because you have a bigger NIL budget and that sort of thing. You can compete, you can get recruits, you can have top 10, top 15, 20 classes more consistently than some of these other teams from other conferences. Like, I think the playoff expansion, if there's anyone that benefits the most from playoff expansion, it's the big teams in the Big Ten and the SEC that weren't consistently winning the conference. And so if you can get yourself into that group, like South Carolina, how legitimate do we think of South Carolina as a college football playoff contender? Last year, there was a lot of people campaigning that they deserved to be that 12 seed a year ago. So, as the that would have been the 4th best team in the SEC if you put them in. It's like, so I think Arkansas, there's no reason Arkansas can't have a year like Lenore Sellers and South Carolina did in 2024. Like, if you've got John Calipari money, I feel like you're trying to compete big time in college football. Like, I know Rhett Lashley is that number 1 name people have thrown out, but I don't know, John Summerall, I feel like seems like someone that would be a candidate for that. I don't know who has Arkansas ties. Like, Lashley would just, everyone wants the alma mater guy, right? Like, that's just the if you can do it, that's the kind of the coolest thing to do. But I don't know. If you can get John Calipari, who knows? You might can get fucking Marcus Freeman or something. I don't know. I'm not saying they're gonna get Marcus Freeman, but who knows, if they got just some serious money, they go actually poach like one of the better coaches in the sport. Like, I think the Calipari thing was kind of specific because he was butting heads with like administration and stuff like that. But who knows what could happen? And honestly, how high is Bobby Petrino on the list? Like, Bobby Petrino has to be very high. Like, you're giving him like 8 games. 7 games, they played 4 or 5 games at this point.
5.
Yeah, 7 games you're giving Petrino. Like, we know he's probably this guy still knows a lot about college football, and he's been a successful head coach at multiple stints in college. Like, it wouldn't be shocking to see Arkansas beat a couple teams because you've seen them play this year. They have talent. Like, they were going toe to toe with Ole Miss. And who was their second loss? Memphis.
Notre Dame.
That wasn't great. Yeah, Notre Dame was the worst one, but I was blanking on Memphis for a second.
Memphis.
But yeah. But yeah, so I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if Arkansas popped up and beat some teams with Petrino and he was the guy that gets the job moving forward. But it seems like
I don't know. The schedule's really hard, man. Like, I mean, they go to Tennessee in 2 weeks coming off a bye. They get A&M at home. Auburn at home is one he's got to win. Mississippi State's winnable at home. At LSU, I think is winnable. LSU is what we saw this weekend. At Texas, probably not winning there. Mizzou at home, probably not winning there. But yeah, I don't know. You don't finish well, and you need some momentum to finish strong if you're Petrino. But again, I don't know. Taylor Green, one of the best quarterbacks in this conference, and we'll see. That offense had a lot of problems this past week, but it has obviously shown flashes for the majority of this early part of the season. I don't know. I do think when you look at the all-time record against SEC teams here for Arkansas, Matt Green, 7-27 all-time against Bama, 13-20-1 Auburn, Florida they're 3-10, Georgia 4-12, Kentucky 3-5, LSU 23-44-2, Mizzou 4-12, Oklahoma 4-10-1, Ole Miss they have a winning record 37-33-1, South Carolina winning record 14-10, Tennessee 7-13, Texas 23-57. Winning record against A&M, though, at 42-35-3. So, I don't know. I mean, not a lot of winning records against SEC foes all across the landscape there for Arkansas. I don't know. I just feel like they fit for basketball and baseball. But if I wish maybe that's what's coming in the sport where we are able to split these up based on like sports and everything else. And you can be in the SEC and basketball if you're Duke, but then you're in ACC football if you're Duke or something, like finding a way to you can be in different conferences for different sports or something. But yeah, I don't know. Arkansas is a tough one for me. I don't know what they're ultimately going to do. They've hired offensive and defensive line guys the last two, and Bielema was a nose guard, I think, the college level, and then Pittman, obviously a longtime offensive line coach. So I don't know. Is it a good bet to like look at someone who's been is Brent Key the guy for Arkansas? They just back up the Brinks truck for Brent Key and keep this thing going. I mean, that'd be a wild, crazy hire.
Brent guys.
Yeah, like that's just kind of what they're after there. But I don't know. I'm very curious to see who Arkansas gets and where this job ranks of open jobs, because it seems like Arkansas. What would we say? Arkansas, Florida, maybe Auburn, maybe Kentucky, all open up this cycle.
Arkansas, Florida, Kentucky, and who'd you say?
Maybe Auburn.
Yeah, that's possible. Yeah, we'll see. I'm not as quick on Auburn, but those other ones seem inevitable. Kentucky
seems like more in it. I think Kentucky is less sure to me than Auburn.
Well, just because we don't know what the standard is at Kentucky.
Right.
It's like, I don't know. He's been good for a while. He's having a couple bad years. We'll give him a couple years. Yeah, I'm not sure. Florida, yeah, that feels like, and they got Texas this week.
Yeah,
man, that's that could right the ship though. I'm not sold that Texas is like somehow that I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, I guess it would be a shocking. It would be the upset of the weekend if Florida beat Texas, but I don't know. I'd be more surprised by things. Texas has looked questionable so far this year, and going into the swamp, we'll see. But yeah, I'm not too confident on Napier keeping his job.
Week 5 pick'em, Matt Green. How did we fare this week?
Oof, it was not a great week for the guys over here. Well, I will say my money line picks were pretty solid this week. Also, I have an announcement to make about Zeus's home dog of the week this past week, but we'll get to it. Money line, I went 8-3 on the weekend, so that was solid. Just picking winners and losers. You went 5-6 over there on your side, sir. Couldn't get it like me this week, but then against the spread, neither of us were very good. I went 5-6 against the spread. You were 4-7 against the spread. So, I was good on the money line, except for where it counted the most with those Georgia Bulldogs. So yeah, I'm 37-19 money line on the season. You were 36-20, so now I got a 1-game lead on you there. And then 33-23 against the spread this year. You are 29-27. So looking good so far. And then Zeus on the season, we're gonna have to give him an asterisk here, because Zeus is actually 2-2 on the season. And this is my mistake. Maybe Zeus had been doing a little drinking this week. I don't know. I don't want to throw out rumors like that. But Ole Miss was actually favored. in the game against LSU, his home dog of the week. So he's not going to get credit for the Ole Miss Rebels this week. We're honest here. Ole Miss, I think, was a 2.5-point favorite. I thought they were a 2.5-point dog. But it was a winner, Ole Miss. So if you took the bet, then Ole Miss was a winner for you. So maybe we should give Zeus 3-2 for that reason. But gonna be strict here. They were not a home dog. So if he's like 500 at the end of the year, and that's what like would tip him over 500, then I think we'll tip him over 500. But for now, we can't count that as the home dog of the week. So I don't think I even had one. I guess we were picking Mississippi State to cover that spread. That was successful, but not to win outright. But yeah, that's what we got for week 5, sir.
There you have it. Well, Matt Green, what is your green line stat of the week for week 5 here?
The green line stat of the week, and I'll be honest, I don't have it as detailed as I could have, but I didn't really want to look into it that hard. The green line stat of the week, sir, is that the Alabama Crimson Tide were 13 of 19 on third down, which is just a stupid number. I heard that and I was like, 13 of 19. I think they were 8 of 8 on their first 2 drives of the game.
Especially when they got shut out in the second half, to still have that level of third down conversion rate is pretty wild.
Yeah, so I mean, if you want to look at it that way, it's like they were 5 for 11 in the final like 3 quarters of the game, but which is still not that bad. So yeah, 13 of 19 on third down, and if you thought, I've never heard of a team having 13 third down conversions. It's the most Georgia's given up in a game in like 30 something years. 13 third down. So yeah, that's the green line stat of the week. It would just felt like Georgia could not get off the field. Like I've been, one of the games I think of a lot, just from like a fan perspective, was year one, 2016 under Kirby, when Auburn came to Athens, and Auburn did not have a first down the entire second half of the game. And so it's just like, as a fan, you're just a part of this like erupting on third down, and every single time the building erupts again because it's an incomplete pass or you got a sack or something. And this game was just like the crowd was so loud, but it just every single time Alabama felt like they converted third down and just kind of took a little bit. They just kind of took a little bit out of the crowd each time. It was just like another dagger to just convert that third down and just keep it going. It was I don't know, death by 1,000 cuts in many ways.
Well, Matt Green, let's dive in to that game. So my biggest first question for you, how was Alabama able to surprise Georgia with a bunch of points in the first half again? Because they obviously get shut out, as I said here at the top, but they they didn't have to score in the second half because they scored enough in the first half to weather the storm and Georgia's comeback efforts in the second half. But that is the biggest under me, because obviously I picked Alabama to win, but I didn't think the script, obviously there were some differences, but the script was the same in the first half, where Bama just put Georgia in this gigantic hole early. And part of it was Georgia's own mistakes. The Nate Frazier fumble, and then he's just been kind of banished behind Chauncey Bowens now, and we'll see what happens there. But future VFL Nate Frazier, many are saying here, Matt Green. But
if you want
what would you say?
Hang on to the ball.
That was Dylan Sampson. Dylan Sampson had that problem last year. Dylan Sampson fumbled all the time. He had a weird fumbling, and then he would be removed for a couple series, and then he would go back in. But yeah, Dylan Sampson loved fumbling in the first half. Loved Dylan Sampson. Obviously an awesome ball, but yeah, he had fumbling issues all last year early.
Yeah, it was, from that perspective, it was similar, since obviously they didn't have to score in the second half, but it was a completely different, just, ebbs and flow of the game. Like they were obviously up 14-0, but Georgia came back, and that's the frustrating part, was the turnover. Like the one turnover is the difference in the game. Like, you give them the ball on the 11-yard line and they get a field goal out of it, you lose by 3. But Georgia scored with 2 minutes left in the half, 3 minutes left in the half, and made it 17-14, and then Alabama just gets the touchdown to close out the first half. So it wasn't like they jumped up on them, you know what I mean, in the same way. Like obviously they jumped up 14-0, but it's not like it was kind of different in terms of like Georgia was the one that was gashing Alabama with the big plays. Like you had the 40-something yard to Colby Young, you had like the Dylan Bell 40-yard run. You had Chauncey Bowens 12 for 119 in this game. Like he was gashing Alabama a bunch. It's like Alabama was taking them 3 downs to get every 10 yards, but they just kept getting those 10 yards. And it was like the 14 plays to start the game, the 14 plays on the second drive. It was almost like these two teams were flipped. Like I think you would think of Georgia as the team that has to kind of labor to get 10 yards and just and kind of methodically drive down the field. And that's really what Alabama was doing, despite Georgia dominating on the ground in this game too. It's like Kirby was 1-6. He's 1-7 now, starting to lose count. It's so many. But 1-6 coming into this game, the winner of the rushing battle had won this matchup every single time. And you have Georgia, what was it, 227 to 117, I think. And you lose that game at home. It's kind of shocking. So I know a lot of people are focused on the fourth down call early in the fourth quarter. I personally, I understand. I feel like what sucks is that Georgia fans can't have it both ways. So for the most frustrating part of that is I think Gunnar Stockton got the first down on third down and they didn't review it. But early in the game, in the second quarter, Georgia got I think it was Josh McCray down to the 1-yard line. He was trying to get in the end zone, came up short, and then they went fast and then punched it in, and then they blew it dead. And then they went to review it, and Georgia fans started booing because they're like, why are you reviewing this play? Like, we're going fast and we're punched in the end zone. And so then in that exact scenario, Gunnar Stockton tries to get the first down on third, comes up short, and then Georgia wants to go fast to, catch him off guard or whatever. So that could be a reason why, because the fans booed and everything once they started reviewing that. That could be a reason why they didn't stop that to review it. It was, well, the fans were pissed last time we reviewed it. Just let it play out, So unfortunately, I think the fans could be responsible for why they didn't review that play. In that situation. Obviously, the coaches can still say, hey, slow down, might want to take a look at that or whatever, whoever's job it is to do stuff like that. But I think I think another criticism of Kirby Smart in general is that he's too conservative. Bobo and him are too conservative. So to see him go for that on fourth down, you want to be conservative. It felt like Georgia had all the momentum. They were running all over them. I just think the biggest way I will second guess it is having Cash Jones be the guy that's getting the ball in that situation. Like Josh McCray had a grown man ass touchdown on that goal line where he had 2 guys hanging all over him and he still found a way to get in. And then you had Chauncey Bowens running well all game. Give it the ball to one of those guys and not a Cash Jones. And I know why Cash Jones is because it's third down and he's the third down back and you're trying to go fast. So he's the one on the field. But if you're going to go for that in that situation, that's get your best player on the field, and that's where I think, because I think Kirby said something about, it's about players getting the players, not plays or something like that in the post game. And it's like, if it's about players, not plays, then get the best player on the field, and that's in that game. It was definitely Chauncey Bowens. Like, dude was balling. So personally, I feel like I would have liked to see Gunnar Stockton just keep it, because I feel like Gunnar Stockton on that short yardage stuff, just keeping it, I feel like that's been one of his kind of strengths to this point in the season. But yeah, it's frustrating. Like, obviously Georgia could have tied the game up there. And you can second guess, just say, hey, kick the field goal and make it tied in the fourth quarter. And, that's also a take you could have, hindsight's 2020, but
I will say in the moment I did say that. That was one of those where I texted in the group. Yeah, because I was just like, I understand in general. I think context matters, and for me in that one, I was just like, yeah, you just are trying to get the monkey off your back. Your defense is pitching a shutout in the second half. Like, that's the other part of it, is that, like, I think you trust your defense there. You just take the points and see what happens and put the pressure back on Alabama. Because again, like, you shut out Alabama in the second half. So I don't know. I thought that was kind of weird. And I would have also slowed it down on 4th down. Like I would have, like you said, Cash Jones still being in there as a 3rd down back. I would have pushed to get it reviewed, like you said, the gunner spot, and taking your time. And like, because it was so close to getting the 1st down anyway, like that's got to be a gunner and Josh McCray spot. So I don't know. It's easy to second guess, but I will say the one that I was like in the moment, I was like, nah, what are you doing? Was the going for it there. But I do think it's kind of a what if of the Taylor drop where that's a walk-in touchdown. And if he has that, I mean, Tennessee almost dealt with the same thing where you have one of the most egregious offensive pass interference calls that takes a touchdown off the board for Chris Brazzell. I mean, that would have sealed the game. Like Tennessee doesn't even go to overtime, but put Tennessee in harm's way. Mike Matthews dropped a walk-in touchdown. So 2 drop touchdowns in that game by Tennessee. It ultimately did not cost them the game, but it's just those moments matter. Like a big drop could be the difference in a game, and especially a tough game like Bama and Georgia. But yeah, I do. The thing too, I wanted to pick your brain on here, and this is something that the reason I was kind of like, I just don't love the situation with Georgia in some ways where they only have 4 TFLs, 1 sack total. Chris Cole had the only sack. And that was part of the reason I like Ty Simpson in this game was just when he has time, man, he'll dice you up. And Ty Simpson played a good game here. I don't think he's an elite quarterback by any means, but 7.3 yards per attempt, 2 TDs, no picks, 24 of 38. He was just super efficient. This is just not a good Georgia pass rush. And it's been the case all season. I mean, Joey Aguilar was not running for his life 2 weeks ago in Neyland. He was dicing Georgia up. I mean, 14 of 14 out of the gate. And I think it was one of the things that I was just kind of raising an eyebrow at how people talk about Elo Mendoza at Army. It's like, yeah, I mean, he was a good player at Army. This is a big jump up going from the American Conference Athletic Conference to the SEC, and we'll see. I think he could be a rotation guy, but I don't think this is just the Georgia defensive line. I mean, losing Damon Wilson obviously hurt, but I just don't like this defensive line. I don't think there's a lot of scary guys off the edge. And I think Chris Cole's a star, and I think you've got stars at linebacker, but I think the pass rush is what I'd be really concerned about if I'm a Georgia fan on defense. Like, yeah, you pitched the shutout in the second half, but I don't know. The Georgia pass rush is just not scary at all this year.
No, I think that's fair. I think Elo Mendoza is just a rotational guy. Like he's like maybe getting the 3rd most snaps or so in that position. Like Quintavious Johnson, I think played by far the most snaps in this game at that edge spot. Gabe Harris too. But it's definitely the most concerning thing is I had this question, like, what is more likely that Joey Aguilar and Ty Simpson are the 2 best quarterbacks in this entire conference, and Alabama and Tennessee are the 2 best offenses in this conference, or is Georgia's defense not very good? Like, both of those things could be true. They've only played 2 SEC teams, and, at least for the first quarter, both of those guys just picked them apart. Like Ty Simpson, I would say, continued to pick them apart, like as the game went on. There was adjustments made, in both games, but yeah, it's definitely concerning with this Georgia. I think the Georgia secondary, they obviously got burned on the one where Ryan Williams dropped late in this game, but it's not like necessarily the secondary was just getting abused or something in this game. It was just like Alabama had 3rd and 6, had 3rd and 4, and they were able to pick up 11. And it was just like Ty Simpson was just dicing them up the whole game. Picked up a couple first downs with his legs. But yeah, it was definitely concerning. Like those could be the 2 best offenses in the SEC. Yeah, like that could happen, and maybe Georgia looks better against other teams. But I'm definitely concerned right now with how good this Georgia defense actually is. And going all the way back to your other point is I think that Talon Taylor touchdown drop, like that's bigger than the 4th down decision and everything. Like that's the way that changes the complexion of the game. Like that puts Georgia up 28-24 late in the 3rd quarter. It's like now Alabama has to make some plays in that second half to actually beat you. They can't just run the clock out. And they didn't score a point in that second half. And you could have been going into the 4th quarter with a lead in that game. And it's, oh man, you got to make those plays if you're gonna win big games.
Absolutely. Well, Matt Green, I guess the final thing I'll say about this, and I want to get your perspective on it. The most concerning part to Georgia's loss to you on Saturday, but also what's the biggest reason you're most certain that they're going to be fine this season?
I think the most concerning part is got to be that pass rush and just not knowing how good Georgia's defense is. Like this team gave up, like they didn't get run all over, but I think it's because they kind of had maybe the more of the run first personnel in there on that defensive line, and right now you don't have guys that can do both. You either have to bring in those guys to stop the run or guys to rush the passer. And I mean, we don't even know if they have guys that can rush the passer to this point because the defensive line still has not registered a sack to this point in the season. So it's only coming from linebackers. It's only coming from blitzes, and they didn't get Ty Simpson on the ground. It's also like Ty Simpson was getting rid of the ball very quickly. I've seen Brooks Austin kind of diving into the tape that Georgia wasn't as inept as rushing the passer as we kind of all felt in the moment. And yeah, sure, I guess if Brooks Austin is trying to make Georgia fans feel better, I guess that's true. But in the moment, it definitely felt like Ty Simpson had all day to throw. So I'm still going to go off my feels over the facts that Brooks Austin is presenting. But I think that's the most concerning thing. The most positive thing appears to be that Georgia has a good running game again. And I think that's pretty big. I think Alabama should be one of the better defensive fronts this Georgia team faces this year. So rushing for over 200 yards on Alabama, with Gunner not even being a huge part of that. I think he had like 20-something yards. You had the big play from Dylan Bell, but it was a lot of the running backs actually gashing him in this game. So definitely concerned about Nate Frazier, but Georgia at least appears to be able to run the ball. And Gunner Stockton, like if you put that Talon Taylor touchdown on his stats, like that's a perfect Georgia win. Just like on stats wise, like you look at the box score, like that's an exact Georgia win right there. Like rush for 227 yards, and then Gunner Stockton is 14 for 20 for 180 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Like you throw a couple 40, 50-yard touchdown passes, it's like that feels like the script going, exactly to plan. So it's frustrating that drop late, but I'd say I'm encouraged that Zachariah Branch made a huge catch on a big third down where he got, hit up in midair. Like Colby Young appears to be a very solid receiver out wide. I feel like this offense, even though I feel like people are blaming the offense for this loss, I feel like this offense still looks like they're going to be a contender moving forward. I personally think the offense is getting the blame, but it's because Alabama, weirdly enough, even though usually when you're the team that wins the running matchup, you're the one that controls the clock. But it's like because Georgia was getting big plays in the run, they were kind of having some of those quick drives, and Alabama was just holding the ball 7-8 minutes at a time, and they were the ones that were able to dominate the time of possession. It just felt like Georgia's defense was on the field for too long in this game. But I'm not the big Bobo hater. Everyone wants to hate on Bobo for everything that happens, but it feels like there was just execution things, like you fumbling the ball, that drop touchdown. Like this feels like the third straight game that this is the comparison I made on our show. Like Steve Spurrier, yeah, he may have had some sort of mental edge over Georgia. He's at Florida, but it didn't matter. Like Florida was significantly better than Georgia, so it didn't. Sure, they had a mental edge, they had a physical, they had everything edge. It wasn't until the Ron Zook years where it's like, okay, what's happening? Why can't we beat Florida? And then we go to Urban Meyer. Still can't beat Florida. It was like a multiple coach thing. I feel like this now feels like the third time where Georgia in a row that I think Georgia was a better team than Alabama, and now they've lost. Like you could make the argument 2017, like that team was better because they benched their quarterback at halftime of the championship, but then found a way to win. But these last three, with the 2023 SEC championship last year, just the teams that Alabama lost to a year ago and were still able to beat Georgia, just, I don't know. I feel like for the third year in a row, or the third matchup in a row, that Georgia was a better team than Alabama, and Alabama still found a way to win.
There you go. Well, Matt Green, you weren't the only one who had craziness on Saturday. Tennessee cannot play a normal SEC game in 2025. 2 SEC games,
Yeah,
2
sorry.
overtime games.
Sorry if we went long there. I had to get it all out.
No, what it's a pod divided. Vols versus Dogs. That's always going to be the heavy hitters here, man. And this was a gigantic game for Georgia, but also Vols, Mississippi State. I was vindicated in some ways where I was like, I did not think there was any way this game was not going to make me physically ill. And I was saying it all week on this very show, writing about it. I was like, Mississippi State's covering this game. Like, this is going to be a 1-score game late. Like, there's no way around it. Like, this is just going to be nauseating for Vol fans and honestly for the Vol football team, just because of the dogfight that they were in all night. Pardon the pun there, but I'm done with the Dogs now with back-to-back dog games here for the Vols to kick things off. Like I said, back-to-back overtimes to kick things off. Tennessee quietly facing an 0-2 hole in SEC play for the first time in the hype layer, if they did end up going down. So this was kind of a sneaky must-win for their college football playoff hopes, because I think they're 4-1 and 3-2 is very, very different, especially getting to the bye, where you're hopefully going to get David Hobbs back out of this, potentially Jermod McCoy back sooner rather than later against Arkansas. So you're going to have time to rest some guys, get some guys healthy, get Jackson Moy back working. We saw David Sanders make his debut. They have him pull at right tackle late in the fourth after Jesse Perry goes down and just blows up a Mississippi State defensive lineman. So that was really cool to see, and he was fired up. So really happy for David, and obviously local standout Deshaun Bishop with the game-winning touchdown run in overtime was awesome, and Tennessee gets a stand. I mean, Tennessee, kind of like Georgia in some ways, where the defense got absolutely sliced up. Like, Mississippi State was running all over Georgia, or all over Tennessee's front seven. Like, it was a problem from the beginning of the game up until the fourth quarter. The Flip Bothwell, man, is a player. 23 carries, 134 yards, 5.8 yards per attempt, 2 TDs. Devon Booth, 17 carries, 58 yards, 3.4 yards. They had 3 total touchdowns between them. I mean, they almost had 200 yards between them in the game. So they were big time. Blake Shapen, they were able to keep in check. Obviously, I mean, Tennessee had a pick 6 in this game and a fumble, a scoop and score, 2 defensive touchdowns. They now lead FBS in sacks, I think. So, I mean, Tyree West had his best game yet as a Vol at strong side defensive end. He was a wrecking crew. He had 2 big sacks and crushed Shapen on that scoop and score by Joshua Josephs. But Caleb Herring had a great game in this one. One of the things we'll talk about this week, I mean, Josh Heupel, the time management down the stretch there was insane. Like, what they did with the final possession was just, they couldn't decide if they were going to try. Like, they were playing like they wanted to make sure that Mississippi State did not get another opportunity with the ball, because you force them to punt to you, but then you get a first down with Sean Bishop, and then you burn a bunch of clock. Joey Aguilar dances in the pocket. The drive started weird because Boo Carter was back there and he was making guys miss, and he ran back and forth and he burned some clock, but just some really, really bad time management from Josh Heupel down the stretch in this game. But it was just Boo Carter not being on punt return for the first 2 punts of the game for Mississippi State. The first one, Braylon Staley muffs, and Mississippi State covers it after forcing a 3-and-out on Mississippi State. So they immediately go down and score and put you in a hole right away, which was bad. And then he let the punt go over his head, and Tennessee has to start at the 1-yard line because he's back there again. Then you go to Boo. So it's just, what are we doing? Like, either, and this I'm going to write about and talk about this week, but I mean, we're now at the point where you either have to play Boo Carter a lot, or please move on. Like, there is this weird middle ground that they're trying to do here, where it's like, oh, well, things get bad, we'll put Boo in more, or we're frustrated with Boo. So, like, there's just, like, he was starting and did all the punts, and obviously he muffed one last week or 2 weeks ago against Georgia. But again, like, that's not, I mean, he has shown that he can be an elite punt returner. Like, he has gotten a bunch more snaps than Braylon Staley, who's a redshirt freshman there, and who had a really, unfortunately, tough game for him. But that will never not be extremely annoying. So I did not like that the way they continue to handle Boo. I would rather them just, during this bye, it's like, hey, either Boo is a part of this team and is doing the things that Boo is good at and is going to help us, or we're moving on. Like, let him redshirt, whatever. Now that we're through these games, and just be like, all right, we're done. Like, good luck to you, whatever. But this whole half foot in, half foot out with Boo Carter is helping nobody. It's not helping Boo, and it's not helping this football team. It's got to stop. So, but again, a lot of positives. Chris Brazzell got called in one of the more egregious offensive pass interference calls where the defender falls down. It can't help Chris Brazzell 6'5" and a gigantic, like, DeAndre Hopkins type figure, and it was a terrible call. It takes a touchdown off the board. Mike Matthews dropped a walk-in touchdown, but he had a good game outside of that. So Tennessee's big three receivers are just really, really strong. The strongest three-man unit they've had, I think, overall when they're all healthy. And the high player 22 was really good with Brew and Jalen Hyatt and Cedric Tillman, but Brew was still I don't think as good as the best version of Mike. But I'll listen to arguments on 22 versus 25. But either way, so a lot to take away positive. Tennessee cleaned up some stuff defensively down the stretch. They got the stops they needed to, especially in overtime. They hold Mississippi State at the goal line by your old friend, Anthony Evans. He drops the pass in the end zone and Tennessee wins. So you're happy to escape with a victory. But, man, I mean, that was a crazy football game, Matt Green. And for the majority of it, it did not feel like Tennessee was going to win this game. It just felt like another road stinker for Heupel. He has one of those weird stink bombs every year on the road. Last year was Arkansas, and you thought it was going to be Mississippi State this year, but shows just the fight and competitiveness of this team that they were able to find a way to win and did so. And now there's a lot in front of them, man. Like this is you get a bye, you get Arkansas at home. We'll see it. Alabama, you can drop the Alabama game, but Florida, not in great shape. You still get Oklahoma. We'll see where John Mateer's at. But look, you live to fight another day, and I feel pretty good. But, I mean, Mississippi State's a much better team than they were a year ago. Their run game's legit. Their trench play is a whole lot better. But, yeah, I'm tired, Matt, and I'm glad we have the bye this week because Tennessee's exhausting right now.
Yeah, Georgia's 2024 receiving core strikes again, but yeah, I was gonna ask you that if there's a time where I just kind of had to watch this game on replay. But was there a time where you thought they were losing this game? Because I feel like when they get the pick in the fourth quarter, like and set that up, it didn't feel like this was a game. And Tennessee scores one touchdown on their first 8 drives of the game, and then they put together 16 plays, 13 plays, 75 yards. 6 minutes. When did you think Tennessee or Mississippi State was actually going to win this game?
Oh, after the muff punt. Like I was like, oh, here we go. here we go. The muff punt where Boo's not back there. And I mean, I would say that one really did not feel great. There's some other times in the game where Tennessee just could not get off the field on third down. Like there were some of those, I mean, kind of what Georgia was struggling with, where Tennessee's third down defense was really bad again. And I was like, all right, man, if they're not going to get field, Mississippi State ends up being 8-19, but it's hard to win on the road when you're getting crushed in the trenches. And Tennessee was getting crushed on the defensive line, Mississippi State's offensive line. And it was just like, I don't know, man. And then I think after the drop, the Chris Brazzell touchdown being called back, I got buried. Like, it was like, oh God, this is how we're going to lose. The offensive pass interference, taking a touchdown off the board. Like, here we go. And I did also in overtime. I'll say that multiple times in this game, I did not think Tennessee was going to win. But when this went to overtime and the mismanagement of the clock happened for Tennessee down the stretch, you're like, oh, we blew it again. We blew it late again. And Tennessee, Deshaun Bishop breaks a tackle and goes in the end zone right away in overtime. But great stop by Tennessee. But yeah, I mean, the punt issues early, and then Tennessee not being able to get up the middle and third down, just getting crushed in the run game, where I was like, I just don't know if Tennessee's going to get the stops they need to win this game. And obviously, like you said, Tennessee's offense did not have their best day. But it's kind of misleading because Mike Matthews dropped a walk-in touchdown deep. And then, like I said, Chris Brazzell had a touchdown called back for a really foul offensive pass interference call that everybody involved should be ashamed that flag was thrown. But yeah, so I don't know, multiple different times, man. But winning on the road in the SEC, especially this year, it's a crazy deal.
Yeah, for sure. It feels like Tennessee was able to do what Georgia couldn't do late in this game, because I was commenting like when Georgia got the ball, Georgia got the ball with 7:51 left on that last drive, and they were going to have to go 95 yards to score a touchdown. I guess you didn't have to go 95 yards; you could have kicked a field goal, and it felt like there was no sense of urgency at all. Like they were kind of trying to make this the last drive of the game. And it's like, okay, we still have to score. And if you don't score and you're wasting a lot of time, and that last drive was 10 plays, 40 yards, 451 it took off the clock for Georgia. And then all Alabama needed was a couple first downs to put the game away. Tennessee was actually able to run that 6 minutes off the clock and put a 7 on the board to tie it. But yeah, also a lot of overtime games this weekend. It was kind of crazy. Friday night and Saturday, all over the place. It's going around.
The final big one, Oregon, Penn State. Matt Green, what did you think of Penn State dropping another one to a top 10 team at home?
I think Chase Thomas owes Dan Lanning an apology, sir. I think that's what you were trying to call out Dan Lanning like he was James Franklin, sir. James Franklin doesn't beat top 10 teams. Like, that's just a fact of life that we're all going to have to accept at some point. And this is just the same old, same old. Like, they were at least able to have a big fourth quarter and send this to overtime. But like, I feel like Oregon was dominating this game. Like, I mean, what were the total stats? Like, they had like 100 yards or something going into the fourth quarter. It was just something stupid. Like, they weren't able to do anything on this Oregon defense. They still end up with 276 yards.
Well, I was going to say, you can't take it all out because every quarter matters. And Penn State's fourth quarter was super strong.
Of course, but I feel like Oregon was the better team, went on the road, and somehow Penn State was able to force overtime. But Penn State fans, I bet are in shambles after this one. I bet this was
you in shambles because you look at the schedule and Penn State's going to be a CFP team, barring something really, really crazy. They're going back to the playoff.
But this is the Georgia thing. They're the exact same mindset of Georgia fans leaving that Alabama game. Like, nothing on our season is gone now. But this is such an ego hit because James Franklin doesn't beat top 10 teams. Oh yeah, we'll show you. It's a whiteout. It's all this game day. And then it's like, no, this is what happens. You guys don't win top
Ryan
10
Day
games.
Never got over the Michigan hump, and he has a national title this last year. Like, it's one of those deals where I do think there is some Ryan Day stuff to remember with James Franklin, where Ryan Day, we were ready to fire year over year. And then he just beats the crap out of Dan Lanning in the college football playoff and just beats the crap out of Tennessee and steamrolls everybody last year. Again, I'm not saying that's what Penn State's going to do, but the last two two national champions have been Big Ten teams. They still have a whole heck of a lot of talent. Penn State's defense was, I think, still really good in this game and did enough for Penn State to win. I don't know. It's a Drew Aller thing to me. Like, there's no disputing that they have the wrong quarterback. Like, Bo Papula should be the quarterback at Penn State this year. But I don't know. I would hesitate to just go too far because there's still so much talent. I mean, the running back's obviously still great. The receivers gave you nothing, and that's been a big issue for them early on. It's like, all right, man, you spent a lot of money and went all out revitalizing and refilling the cabinet at receiver, and it's not working. But Aller had a great fourth quarter. He just was not great, and they weren't effective there. I mean, they had one pass play, Matt Green, this game that went over 16 yards. Like, that just can't happen. Like, it's just Penn State is mind-boggling in so many different ways. But also, Dante Moore, dude. Like, Dante Moore, we talk about that QB class. Dante Moore is, I think, the one who's got the best shot of being the star of that class with Arch and Nico and Jackson Arnold and company.
Yeah.
Dante Moore, man, I don't know if you came away from this game, but I came away being like, oh, I could see him being a future Heisman winner. Like, he played a really, really good game on the road in a tough environment. I was very, very impressed with Dante Moore.
Yeah, I mean, I think same. I think he looks like maybe the best quarterback on any of these championship contenders right now of like top 5 teams. I guess if I don't know, Oklahoma's a top 5 team wherever people have them ranked, but we'll see when John Mateer gets back. But yeah, I like that. I think just from a Penn State perspective, I want to make sure you're keeping the same energy with Georgia and Penn State now, because if that loss to Alabama was like an indictment on Georgia's program, like, I feel like this has to be the same for Penn State. And James Franklin is not a coach that's won 2 national championships, and this is supposed to be the year that is actually going to be different. Like, there's all these teams that weren't returning their starting quarterback. We're one of the few that's returning our starting quarterback, and it feels like more of the same. So yeah, it's if Penn State is ranked 9th at the end of the season and they're 10-2. There's nothing that suggests that they're going to be any better than they were a year ago. And this was supposed to be the year that was different from a Penn State.
But again, they have enough talent. They can switch it on. Like, my whole thing was like, Ohio State did not.
Can they?
I don't know. I would not. I'm not predicting it. I just am not crossing off Penn State. Like I'm not doing it. Like I just think there's still just too much talent there, and the defense is still really good. I still love the running backs. I don't know. I mean, they have great coordinators, man. Still have great coordinators, and I still just it's a long season. It's September 28th. We all got to stand back and breathe a little bit. They're going to be in the playoff. Let's see what kind of matchups they get. I don't know. I think in this sport, you just can't count out team. Like it's not a Clemson situation. You know what I mean? Where Clemson, they're cooked. Like Clemson's a cooked situation. Penn State's not cooked. Penn State, but again, maybe they are because they haven't played anybody and neither had Oregon before this game tonight. So maybe this is a bad omen of things to come for Penn State. I don't know. I guess we'll find out here in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, I don't know. I am just cautiously not selling my Penn State stock. I'm not jumping off. I think you're lower on him, obviously, after this latest loss to a big top 5 team, but I'm still not completely selling off. It's so easy to forget the Ryan Day stuff. It's so easy to forget.
Yeah, Ryan Day had beaten Michigan prior to like this losing streak to Michigan.
But I'm just saying he keeps losing every year, and it's embarrassing. And then it doesn't like everyone was leaving Ohio State for dead last year after losing to Michigan again.
In fairness, if they didn't change the rules, they should have been left for dead. That just it kind of sucks. But whatever. I think if Penn State like their perception of their entire season a year ago is different if the playoff is seeded differently. It's like they might lose their first round game that they play if it was actually, I don't know who it would have been. Maybe it's Tennessee or something they have to play first round, or maybe it's Notre Dame. Like I'm not exactly sure how the seedings would have worked out, but I think they just were a benefit. They just benefited from having to play SMU and Boise State, and it's like they got all the way to the Final Four and they still hadn't beaten a legitimate top 10 team. And now it's another year where Oregon has a first-year starting quarterback and they come into your house and beat you. I don't know. I don't see a lot of losses left on their schedule, but there's never a lot of losses on Penn State's schedule. So I have no reason to believe that this team is different than any other of the Penn State teams. And I think that means they're going to be a top 10, top 8-ish team at the end of the season. And that's good, but you're probably not winning a national championship. And this felt like the year, if there's ever going to be a year that I think a championship was on Penn State's, horizon, it felt like this was the year. And obviously could still happen, but I'm skeptical.
Yeah, I think skepticism is fair, but I'm just not selling all my stock there. I am selling all my LSU stock though, Matt Green. This offense, I was worried about it coming in. The offense is not good. The offense is still quietly broken. They're like a middle ground of Florida. You know what I mean? Where you look at Florida and you're like, there's just this talent. The defense is legit. LSU's defense is legit. The offense, there's just something wrong. Like there's just something off with this offense. And it's just something stinky about this LSU offense. And I just don't think it's getting cleaned up this year. Like it's just it's frustrating if you're an LSU fan, but I mean, also the best story, I shouldn't say best. One of the best stories in the SEC is Trinidad Chambliss, who D2 champion at Ferris State, D2 Heisman winner, their version of the Heisman. Great story, no-star kid. And this is something I wanted to mention to you, Matt Graham. This is just like the year of the no-star quarterbacks in this conference with Joey Aguilar, Trinidad Chambliss, and Diego Pavia. Like, it's a great time to be kind of overlooked and have a chip on your shoulder as a quarterback in the SEC, man. And there's something to it, man. There's clearly something to that part of this. And I mean, Taylor Green, obviously overlooked guy from Boise, coming in here and doing well at Arkansas too. But
I'm sure Marcel Reed's got a chip on his shoulder coming into this year.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, Trinidad, this stat from Everything Rebs I saw on Twitter, Trinidad Chambliss had 300 plus yards passing and 50 plus rushing yards for the third straight game. He's the only player in the SEC to do that in the last 30 years. I mean, it's just crazy. Great story.
Yeah, it really is. There should not be a quarterback controversy in Oxford. Like he's the guy. People say you're not supposed to lose your job to injury. It's happened all the time. Drew Bledsoe lost his job to injury. Jacob Eason lost his job to Jake Fromm due to injury. Like it happens all the time. And this offense it just didn't look great in the first week or so with Austin Simmons. It didn't look like a Lane Kiffin offense, and this looks like a Lane Kiffin offense with Chambliss back there. But yeah, I was never a believer in Nussmeier in terms of like the first round pick, like the top 10 pick love he was getting, but it still felt like the ceiling or the floor was just, top 5 quarterback in the SEC. Like you knew you were getting if this LSU defense is as good as as improved as advertised. This could be a championship contender. It's like I agreed with all of that, and this LSU defense is as good as advertised, and somehow now this offense is terrible. Like after 3 years in a row of having maybe 4 years in a row of just having an elite offense with terrible defense. Now LSU can't play offense. So it seems to be how it goes in the SEC, but for teams sometimes. But yeah, I think I don't know what their schedule looks like moving forward, like just off the top of my head, LSU, but Ole Miss is looking pretty solid right now.
I mean, LSU, it's only getting harder here. Their next 4 games: South Carolina at home, at Vandy, A&M at home, at Bama.
I think you saw game day is going to be in Tuscaloosa for the Vanderbilt game.
Can we say that sucks? Like it should be Florida State, Miami. What are we doing?
Yeah, I don't have that much of an opinion on it. I think they just want to capitalize on Vanderbilt being in a big game.
But do it at Vandy. Like, we don't need to burn a Tuscaloosa trip for Alabama Vandy.
That's true, but I think they're not sure if the pipe is still going to be there next week when LSU comes to town. So I think you're or 2 weeks, whenever that is. I think you're trying to hey, let's go ahead and get Vanderbilt some love. Get them. I
don't know. I think
and Florida State coming off the loss to Virginia.
I mean, it wasn't like they lost. I mean, Virginia is much improved. Like, it's not a bad loss, and it's also that's still a top 15. I guess you could say Bama and Vanderbilt still top. They're both top 15 battles, but also just the history. Like we all care more about Florida State, Miami than we do Vanderbilt. No offense, Vanderbilt, Alabama, but
you usually try to go to Vanderbilt if you're going to do that. That's
because you're doing them a solid by going there. Like, I think going to Tuscaloosa for Bama Vanderbilt, that's SEC Nation.
That's Bama. Bama fans don't care about this game.
No,
they're not respecting Vanderbilt whatsoever.
Maybe they're caring a little bit. There's no crowd noise at all. Like, it's already kind of like a laid back crowd. Like, Bama's
they did lose. They did lose a year ago, so they could be a little mad. Like, the fans could be a little on edge.
I think it's hard to. Never mind. I'm not gonna go down that road. I'm not gonna go down that road.
A lot of history down that road.
Not for Tennessee. Tennessee keeps winning. Like, Tennessee's got Vanderbilt at home. They're gonna win again. Like, it's gonna be fine. I'm excited for that one. I'm excited that Vandy, Tennessee is going to be the spiciest it's been in a long time here in a couple months, but we'll see. But can we say though, Lane Kiffin is proving that this is sustainable at Ole Miss? Like, I mean, he's beat a top 5 LSU team this year, beat at Georgia, a top 5 team last year. Obviously, with the documentary and it's just, there's a lot to like. I mean, he's 49-18 at Ole Miss, which is just crazy. People have just been waiting for Ole Miss in the bottom to fall out for years, and he's 5-0. So Matt, he is, let's see, 15, he's 26-5 in his last 3 years at Ole Miss. 26-5. Yeah, I don't know, man. Lane Kiffin is, I mean, Ole Miss has got they're 4th in the AP poll, great playoff odds. I mean, yeah, you cannot give Lane Kiffin enough credit for what he's built at Ole Miss and in Oxford. Like, Lane Kiffin has built, I don't want to say juggernaut, but in terms of what Oxford and Ole Miss can be, it's the best juggernaut form that I think any of us would have ever predicted the Ole Miss that we grew up with, right? Like, I mean, they're legit, and they're legit again. I mean, he lost his quarterback, and they don't miss a beat.
I will say, let's not. They've had a few 5-0, 6-0 type starts here. Like, they have the win over LSU.
I mean, they crushed the G5 favorite in Tulane. Like, crushed them 45-10.
Yeah, but that's
they
Tulane.
right the wrong last year with Kentucky loss. You beat LSU. I mean, you'll be undefeated going to Athens in 2 weeks.
Who do they have this week?
Washington State at home.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean but I'm just saying we have seen Ole Miss get off to some 5-0, 6-0 starts.
26-5 at Ole Miss? That's crazy.
I'm not downplaying how good Lane Kiffin has been. Like, it is pretty insane. I don't know that they're truly like the 4th ranked team in the country. Like,
maybe not.
Like we'll see how, as far as that goes. But yeah, I mean, and I'll say this: if this can be done in Oxford, why can't this be done in Fayetteville, Arkansas?
I knew you were about to say this. I knew you were about to turn it that way. I mean, maybe.
That's all I'm saying. Like, if you get the right guy in a place that's actually committed, like anyone can win. But it's been a while since we saw it in Arkansas. But yeah, I mean, Lane Kiffin. I haven't watched any of that documentary or anything, but he really has like just changed his whole perception. Just kind of what people thought about him as the Raiders coach and at Tennessee and everything to now is like 180 degrees.
Shout out to him, man. Final big one here. Auburn. Oof. At A&M. A&M just kind of it felt like they just kind of sat on him, right? Like that's what it felt like to me, where I never thought for a moment A&M was going to lose this game, even only scoring 16 points. I mean, they only score 3 points in the second half, 10 points total between both teams. I mean, Jackson Arnold, 125 yards, 3.8 yards per attempt, 0 TDs, 0 interceptions. They couldn't run the ball. 5 sacks by A&M in this game, but he holds the ball for so long. Cam Coleman, 4 receptions, 18 yards. 0-2 start in SEC play. When do you go to Deuce Knight? Because how much more do we have to see? He's having like a reverse Bo Nix, where Bo was okay at Auburn those first couple years, but he's running for his life. No one really knew what Bo Nix was. And they're like, I don't know. He's kind of Superman. I can't tell with the team around him. Like, is Bo Nix actually good? No one was certain about Bo Nix. Goes to Oregon, legit. Like, obviously, best thing for him. He takes off, now killing it with the Broncos. Great story. Jackson Arnold, we were like, oh, the offensive line in Oklahoma, terrible 5-star kid. Same deal. Pedigree is there. New start, better surrounding, that sort of thing. Oregon, obviously, a much better situation than Auburn at the time. And then he goes to Auburn. Great receivers, better offensive line, good defense this year, and he's bad. Like Jackson Arnold is a bad quarterback. And I don't know. When do you, I mean, you're 0-2 now in the SEC play. It's only going to get harder from here on out. And I think if you're Hugh Freeze and you want to say, you got to get some momentum. The momentum is the quarterback change, and seeing 4-star, 5-star borderline guy Deuce Knight, what he can do to add some juice there. But yeah, I don't know. I think Texas A&M's solid, but man, Auburn's offense is for the third straight year.
Yeah, and it just feels like the same as last year. They were 0 for 13 on third down in this game. Had 177 total yards.
Well, the turnovers aren't there from last year. Like the turnovers were insane from Peyton Thorne last year. It's just they don't take chances. Like Jackson Arnold just takes sacks and doesn't throw picks and doesn't throw down the field. Like it's kind of like crazy conservative now.
Yeah. Well, and last year in their 7 losses, they gave up 21.7 points per game. In their 7 losses, they're basically giving up 3 touchdowns. Like there's teams that allow that for the season, and that's pretty solid. Like, and they scored 14.3 points per game in those 7 games. They're doing the same thing this year. They're giving up 20 points per game in their 2 losses, and they're scoring 13.5 points per game in those losses. Like they're kind of in the inverse Georgia situation, where it's like, did Georgia just face 2 Heisman candidates, the 2 best quarterbacks in the SEC, and their defense isn't terrible? We'll see. Both could be true, I guess. Like, did Auburn face the 2 best defenses in the SEC, and they're not just like the worst offense in the conference? Like, I'm not sure yet. Like, maybe A&M and Oklahoma are like legit the 2 best defenses in this conference, because they absolutely just had a field day against this Auburn offensive line. But yeah, I think there's good reason to believe Auburn. Both could be true, that Auburn could be just the worst offense in this conference this year.
Yeah, it's just oof.
And who do they have?
Quick hitters?
Who does Auburn have next week? I don't have it pulled up, but
I do not either.
What else? Here, let me see if I can. Because it's Kentucky. Georgia has Kentucky and then Auburn. So okay, so Auburn's got a bye, and then the Georgia game. So maybe is this where you go to Deuce Knight with the bye week? Get him a couple weeks to prepare as a starter. Throw some wrinkle out versus Georgia that they haven't seen all season.
Yeah, I can see it. I don't know what they're gonna do. It's an interesting one. I guess it depends on how much heat he's feeling, right? If Hugh is feeling a lot of heat, maybe you do it. You're more apt to do it. If you feel like you can still get to 7-5 and keep your job, maybe you keep rolling this out and hope Jackson Arnold figures it out. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I don't really know which way it goes. I'll say the 2 longest home win streaks, Matt Green, ended this weekend in college football. Not just Georgia, but Washington right there. 20 in a row? They lost comfortably. I still don't know how good Ohio State is. The offense in particular, they did enough.
Yeah, I agree.
24-6.
It was a boring game. What were they at? Was it 14-6 going in the fourth quarter or
Yeah,
something?
they're doing okay. It's fine. I don't know about Ohio State's offense yet. Still TBD. The defense has been great, and Matt Patricia has been really good there. So it looks like I've been wrong there. Arizona State got a much needed desperate win over TCU on Friday night. Oh, here's one we should throw out here real quick. Georgia Tech. I'm pro Georgia Tech. Have some Georgia Tech in my family.
I'm oddly pro Georgia Tech these days. I was actually made that comment out loud. I was like, why am I rooting for Georgia Tech in this game? We're watching that one late in the game, but go ahead.
You know what I'm about to say. Georgia Tech got an all-time gift and should not have won that football game, where the neutral zone where he jumps and he's not back and Robbie Ashford thinks he has a free play and just throws it down the field on third down. They don't call the penalty, so then they burn that play, and then they have to punt, and obviously Georgia Tech gets down there and wins the game. But yeah, I would be sick if I was a Wake Forest fan, because that was an all-time egregious. I mean, Tennessee had an egregious one with Chris Brazzell on the offensive pass interference, but that one legitimately cost Wake Forest the game. I don't know, in real time, you're like, whoa, what just happened? And I don't know if I've ever seen that a guy thinks it's a free play, because it was so obvious that he was still in the neutral zone when they snapped it and everything else that they missed it. And man, Georgia Tech survives and advances, but ooh. And I mean, great comeback, 17 points down and big time comeback.
Yeah.
Testament to them, but Tech should not have won that football game.
Yeah, I'm not sure how you make that call. Don't make that call. But also I've heard everyone from the analytic standpoint says that you should be going for it if you score in the first overtime. If you score second, you should go for you're gonna have to get the 2-pointer in the second overtime. So I don't know. This is why that's not 100% advice. It's I don't know. I don't understand the analytical approach. I guess you're just thinking we got them on the ropes. We need 2 yards to win the game right here, right now. Let's do it. But yeah, I respect going for the win, but hindsight's always 20/20, I guess.
Haynes King, 21 carries. It's just, I hope it could. I mean, he's super fun. I don't know, man. 21 carries again.
I don't know if anyone separates themselves as the year goes. If we just don't have a true guy putting up great numbers on the best team in the country. Haynes King's got to get some Heisman love. He feels like the people's Heisman. He's everyone in college football's favorite player. It feels like at some point, I don't know if Texas did have an 8-win, 9-win season or something. Not saying they can't do better. They're sitting at 5-0 right now, but give Haynes King some love. He feels like he feels like America's Heisman right now.
Haynes King should be in that conversation for sure. I would throw Fernando Mendoza at Indiana. He's been really good. I would throw Ohio State's maybe the best team, and they don't have. I think Dante Moore has done enough for me. He's in the watch list for me. I mean, Pavia's got to be in the watch list, right?
Yeah, probably.
Running back Ahmad Hardy, 24 carries, 130 yards, 3 TDs for Mizzou again. He's in my. I think he might be. Is he the best back in the country?
I mean, probably. I mean, he's leading the nation in rushing right now.
So I think he has a case of being a Heisman finalist if he keeps this up.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Well, that's all I've got, Matt Green. Tennessee on a bye this week. Georgia, are they on a bye or no?
Georgia's got the Kentucky Wildcats nooner at home. Might be the only noon game on Georgia's schedule this year, I think. There's not many. But yeah, Georgia, Kentucky, probably noon, probably SEC Network, one of those type of games. But yeah, hopefully Georgia can make Kentucky look as bad as they've looked all season.
I mean, they were kind of in it early against South Carolina, and South Carolina eventually took control of that one. But yeah, that game's always weird though, Georgia, Kentucky.
I mean, they did play with Ole Miss too.
Yeah.
So
they get up for these games.
Yeah, we'll see. Georgia, Kentucky has a way of being one of the more forgettable games on the schedule each season, and not necessarily just because you don't respect Kentucky or anything. Just Georgia doesn't always bring their best against Kentucky, so we'll see. Hopefully,
You're glad to be ducking Kentucky as a permanent rival.
not necessarily, because there's not a lot of the games are close, but it's just I don't know. It's like it's got a lot of like boring like 24-10 type games that are just like not a lot happened, but it wasn't that close. Like I don't know. It's there's something about Kentucky games. Like it just I don't get excited for Kentucky games. So
Well, it's also
hopefully
kind of
Kentucky
funny. I just
fans-
realized that one of the 3 permanent rivals for Georgia isn't even on the schedule this year.
Oh, yeah, South Carolina.
Yeah, like that's just kind of funny to think about it. Like that, it's such an important permanent rival that we didn't even have it on the schedule this year.
Yeah, exactly. It's it has been weird not playing South Carolina. I will say that. But yeah, it's I don't know. Is what it is. Let's hopefully Georgia has a bad taste in their mouth and they come out ready to play versus the Wildcats.
There you go. Matt Green, always a pleasure, and I'll talk to you again in a couple days.
Yes, sir.
Nicely done, nephew. The Chase Thomas Podcast. Hell yeah.